Good morning, folks. I'm Nick Johnson. I'm the publisher of Axios. Thank you for joining us here again at Cannes. This is our first event of the week. We've got an exciting, packed 4 days of programming today. None of it will be possible without the support of our partners. And so a huge, huge thanks to Burson for making today possible. And I'm very excited to welcome to the stage, returning to the Axios stage for a view from the top conversation, Burson's global CEO, Corey Dubrowa, and from Reddit, Chief Marketing Consumer Experience Officer, Roxy Young. Come on up, folks. Bonjour, as they say. Let's start big picture. I love this balance of reputational risk and then cultural relevance, a very kind of razor edge. Corey, let's start with you. How do you tell people how to balance and navigate that?
Between reputational risk and opportunity, right. Would that be the way to think about it, or relevance?
Just a small question.
Just a small question, small way to start out. Hi, everybody. So when I was a client, so before I came to Burson 2 years ago, and LinkedIn told me that today was the 1-year anniversary of the Bursoning, so I guess it must be true. That must have happened here at this very place last year. For 15 years, I was the Chief Communications Officer at Starbucks for 8 years, Salesforce for a year, and then Google for almost 6 years. And the way that we thought about those jobs at that time was basically, what is the message, who is the messenger, and what is the platform that the message will be sort of best heard on? It was kind of a lather, rinse, repeat. And those are very relevant brands, right? And so they were kind of always in the mode of having to think about guesswork, and that the stakes were really high. Like, what is the right message to match the moment? Who is the right messenger to sort of deliver that? What is the right platform? And it's not like we were devoid of information, but what we used to say at Google is that we were data rich but analysis poor. So we didn't always know sort of what the right match was between those things. So last week, Burson released a new product that we've been working on for almost a year. It's called Reputation Capital. And it sits on basically an AI bed, if you want to think about it that way. And the way to think about it is that all these companies, because they sit on top of all this data, but they don't have lots of good analysis, what it helps companies to do is divine that data to basically get to the point of not just analysis, but predictive analysis.
And that's to understand that balance instead of just going in blind and hoping.
That's right. And so, you know, I think that companies tend to have some blind spots. Like, one of the blind spots, certainly for the 15 years that I was a client, was that you didn't have perfect real-time data. And what's happening now, of course, in the world is that you have companies facing headwinds like they've never faced before, right? Political headwinds, economic headwinds, competitive headwinds, employee-driven headwinds. So for any one of our clients in any day, you can see literally, it's not just that there was a one-day news cycle, it's that there were hours within that one-day news cycle that they were having to navigate.
Yeah.
So having access to predictive analysis, right, to data, and matching your actions and your message to that data, and being able to predict with more certainty what the impact, the business impact will be, that's the way I think.
I'm gonna come back to that data thing. That's super interesting. But I want to get Roxy a chance here as someone who kind of lives this every day. Like Reddit, like famous for open, unfiltered conversations, but also kind of keeping the wheels on, like remaining trustworthy. How do you approach this, and how do you think about it? How do you succeed?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. Thanks, all of you all. Happy Monday. Hope you're starting off your Cannes week with a really big, important topic around reputation. So I've been at Reddit for about 8 years, and when I first got there, we didn't really think about this concept of a brand and reputation. And so the CEO said, Roxy, what are the things that you want to influence at this company? And I said, I want us to be recognized by more people around the world. I want us to be relevant for more people around the world, and I want us to have a good reputation. And we started to measure it. And in 2017, you know, I think only 35% of people said, yeah, I think that Reddit has a good reputation. And now that number is well over 60%. And, you know, why is that? Well, Reddit has to have communities for everyone. This is our proposition, is that everybody has a home on Reddit. There are over 100,000 communities, whether it's pets or plants or parenting, there is a place, or politics, to keep the peas going, you know, there is a place for you on Reddit. And in order to be able to offer that to people, this, you know, unfiltered conversation, as you said, it means we have to have a lot of structure and process around, how we keep this authentic and on topic. Every single community on Reddit is created by people, is moderated by people, has a separate set of rules that govern the conversation. And our responsibility in order to be this home where people can have authentic conversations is to ensure that people are abiding by our policies, to enable moderators with tools to ensure that they can do the right things to keep their communities safe and on topic. And it's 24/7, 365.
Yeah. Let's come back to the data, Corey. We've talked before about reputation being a soft asset. How do you make it into something a little harder, and how do you kind of drive it using that data? Let's put that data to work.
We have to tie it more to business impact, right? So you have to be able to predict, like I was talking about before, like what the real connections are to like your stock price or sales trend or brand preference or things of that nature. And I think intuitively, like just listening to Roxy talk about what she's been through with Reddit, I think that for a long time people were sort of convinced that trust was the only thing that really mattered with reputation, that it was almost a binary, are you trusted or not trusted? And of course, for anyone sitting inside of a company or a brand, that there are a multitude of levers that make up reputation. It could be product quality or engagement with your stakeholders, with employees, et cetera. So I think having access to data that looks at multiple levers on this sort of continuum of reputation, and then having the information that gives you the ability to act on those things, that's what gives people like Roxy, I think, the license to sort of turn Reddit into the trusted platform or community.
Well, Roxy, can you talk a little bit more about the data you use? You mentioned the big top line reputational score. What are the other things that you look at?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I like to talk about when we talk with brands. So, we were having this conversation around, Reddit is this big place, unfiltered, authentic conversation. How does a brand show up there in a relevant way? What kind of data? And one of the things that I share with brands is there is a score on Reddit called Karma, and Karma is basically how you are contributing to a community. If you get upvotes on your posts and your comments, you get more karma. If you get downvotes, it takes away from the karma. And so I tell brands, like, look at your brand karma. Every single one of you that are showing up on Reddit, you have a karma score associated with the way that you're showing up. And I sat and I had a conversation with Ally Bank, a fantastic brand, and I was like, oh my God, you have over 200,000 karma. Like, that's more than our internal u/Reddit account. And so deconstructing that was, this is your reputation on a platform like Reddit that is all about how brands show up and share authentically. So it's an additional
That's an incredible, you can't hide from
hide.
that
The
karma
karma's
score.
there.
Well, let's before
such thing as good karma.
Right, exactly. Literally good karma. Let's spin this forward a little bit as we think like going ahead, a jump ball for both of you. Like, how do people use the kind of that not karma broadly, lowercase k maybe, and spin that forward into business outcomes and what's next?
Yeah, I think some of the things that we want to be able to do is we don't want karma to be just like happenstance. You have no idea what it is and how it accrued. And so we're rolling out ways that brands can activate and turn this into something in a simple, easy, foolproof way. Today we just shared a great new suite of ad products, conversation summaries powered by community intelligence. So imagine that you've got a product and you want to be able to bring in all of the rich context and conversations that have been happening on Reddit. We can now allow you to do that. You flip a toggle in our ads manager and you can say, here's my product. I don't just think it's great, Reddit thinks it's great. And so being able to activate on things like that in a simple, easy way.
This is a little bit of exactly what you're saying, like in real practice. Like, take that data and kind of spin it forward into business.
It's action, right? I mean, this is something that if Harold Burson were still alive today, I mean, he was talking about for decades. It's like, it's not just what you say, it's what you do, how that ties to values, and ultimately all of that becomes very circular because the feedback loop then gives you the information as a brand to be able to act. Yeah. So I think you're right in the right zone.
All right, before we all run our phones and check our own personal karma scores, we're about to get the hook here. I want to end on one fun thing, one Cannes thing. We are kicking off Cannes today. We've got a long week to go. Give us your pro tips for surviving the week.
If you're a woman, flat shoes. I made the mistake a few years ago. Now, flat shoes. Always have flat shoes.
Corey, how are you going to make it?
Well, I mean, it's more than just making it. It's thriving, right? So hydrate for damn sure,
right.
But bank some sleep when you
Electrolyte.
can, because there are some nights where you're going to be way into sleep debt. So, like, just plan for that.
All right, good luck, everybody. Have a great
Thanks,
week.
everyone.
Corey, Roxy, thanks for being here. Huge thanks to Burson
Okay.
for kicking us off this week. Let's get Eleanor back.